of items that were included in the initial one that we thought would be completed and paid by now and therefore eligible to fund. However, they're not. One of those in particular is the landfill cell 3B construction. Haven't quite finished paying those bills and getting them in, so that's going to have to defer till the spring. There was another item, can't remember off the top of my head, same situation. So what we're looking at here is taking out a debenture for a $15,000 dump trailer as approved in the budget, and to refinance the last 2 years of a 17-year debenture that was taken out 15 years ago.
So you need a motion to approve your recommendation.
Yeah, and the resolution has a maximum on it. Obviously, the actual number will be lower for the actual number. And so looking for approval of the resolution for pre-approval of debenture issuance subject to interest rate.
Somebody prepared to move it.
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor, opposed, motion is carried. The correspondence, all we have to do is receive.
Yeah.
Motion to receive 10.1, 10.2, and 10.3.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor, opposed, motion is carried. Request for decision, community development recreation appointment of bylaw officer and fire inspector. Somebody prepared to move, we do it.
So we have one
With
conversation that you tell.
Yes, there's one, just one small addition, quickly. So in the report, it mentions the appointment of both our fire inspector and our bylaw officer, waste inspector, but there's one addition, and that is that both of these positions, we want them to have their special constable status. And so that designation is provided through the Department of Justice. And so we would like for the motion to have that included as well.
Special constable status.
Yeah, and so for our fire inspector, of course, we'll be enforcing the Nova Scotia Fire Safety Act and regulations, as well as our system of municipal fire inspections. And for our bylaw enforcement officer and waste inspector, be enforcing the applicable provisions in the Municipal Government Act, our municipal bylaws, as well as fences and detention of stray livestock act.
So maybe we're going to start to enforce your bylaws? Is that what that means?
Well, we'll have more
That's what
ability.
the bylaw enforcement officer is here to do. Yeah.
Somebody prepared to move, we approve the recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor, opposed, motion is carried.
And I know you're on a quick timeline, but just because they're new staff, they're here, so our bylaw and new bylaw enforcement officers, Kendall Barcos. So this is
Kendall.
Kendall.
Go get us, Kendall.
Thank you very much for having me today.
No, I wish we had more time to ask you questions. We'll bring you in again. Because we like to know everything there is to know.
And Matthew Bastelli is our fire inspector. He didn't quite make it over from the other building yet, but he'll pop by.
Bring him by, bring them all by next week.
Okay.
We'll have more time. So thanks, glad to have you with us.
Thank you kindly.
Okay. For salary and benefits, and we've already gone through it, so.
Yeah, so, all right, so I provide apologies. This was a late addition to the agenda, so I distributed it out to you all. None of this should be too much of a surprise after the conversations we've already had. So on June 8th, Gerald Walsh presented their draft report. It included a bunch of recommendations. What I'm here today to recommend to you is to implement two of those, the ones that have a significant financial impact. That is the changes to the salary scales and the changes to the pension plan. So we're still awaiting the finalized version from Gerald Walsh with his signature and everything on it. However, there are some extracts from that report that have been pulled for your information today. In particular, the salary scales, the levels 1 through 9, steps 1 through 13. And of course, that report will be presented to be accepted by council when it is available to us. It just wasn't available today. So the two recommendations I've got for you today, recommendation 1 is to approve the transition to the recommended salary scales for applicable employees effective April 1st, 2023.
Yeah.
And the second recommendation is to direct staff to engage with the Nova Scotia Public Sector Superannuation Plan for the purposes of joining that pension plan.
I'm prepared to move that we accept those recommendations.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
discussion, all those in favor, opposed, motion is carried. Thank you. Who? Oh, that's our other employee.
Yeah, sorry. This is Matt Bastelli, our new fire inspector. Hello, everyone.
Morning. We're gonna bring you back in again next week or something when we have more time to ask you a whole bunch of questions.
Sounds good.
We're running out of time this morning. We're glad to have you with us.
Thank you.
Okay, district grant. People have that on their desk for now.
That new?
Do we have it?
It's a Greg Grant request, Greg Grant Society, $4,000. They want to do a study in, yes, it's my district. And I'm fine with it.
Do approve. Second.
Discussion, all those in favor, opposed, motion carried. Okay. Now, that's it.
Two more things.
On the committee.
Oh, no, truth and reconciliation, we already did. it.
Truth and reconciliation.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'll be quick. Since September 30th, we won't be here for the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. I would like council to officially recognize that, and maybe I'm suggesting that going forward, that as part of our, I guess, recognition, that we start our meetings with land acknowledgement that many others do.
You guys can speak to that.
You can speak to that. I know I would like myself coming from our EDI committee, but I think that we should at least officially recognize that September 30th is national.
I don't have a problem with that, but I think we need a larger discussion on the other issue.
Okay,
And just to,
I need wording, I need to know it.
yes, okay, that's fair.
and just to make note of that, because we do have committee members and staff that have been part of all the discussions today. Again, that's part of the last EDI meeting. And we had a hearty discussion. Wouldn't you agree, Abdullah and others? Nadine had come back in with some wording, and we've been deliberating and adding to and really giving it very, very serious thought. And around that is just making sure that we are true to our words, and the fact that, you know, we are very proudly municipality of the district of Chester, and we have a number of communities within, and just really giving it thought.
I just want to say, because you know what I'm stepping away from the, and that's one of the reasons, and I think that's important, because if we craft not a speech, but
Opening
an
remarks.
opening remark. So if we craft it, and then the regional coordinator and the other municipalities craft another one, where does that lay? So I think,
Just needs more discussion,
Okay, that's better.
you know what I mean? Yeah.
or it's
Anyway.
recognizing that's,
We're getting it.
yeah, that's a non-issue.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
Do we need a motion to recognize?
Well, I think.
I would just say, like, I don't know why we would pull back if almost every other unit around us have continued on, and you know, maybe if regionally we decide we want to change it or whatever, there's nothing stopping us from changing it to whatever the regional feeling is, but I mean, what stops us from continuing on our own until then?
I haven't seen the wording yet.
I don't see how that is, well, let's get some wording.
Well, that's what I mean, but we don't have any of it.
There's
That's-
a presentation that's being
Yeah,
developed as well to go along with it.
I just think it needs a better discussion.
we can bring that to council.
Well, yeah,
Or two.
okay.
Councillor Ace is stepping down from the EDI committee. I know that we have a nominating committee, but we can put it out now because we do have a committee meeting on Tuesday
I
evening.
was gonna, yes.
We're going to miss you, Councillor Ace, very much. The invitation's also. So I know that Councillor Vino has spoken a number of times around EDI. And he may like to join us. No, I don't know that that's appropriate. I don't know. But we are short a member. We need a counselor to sit on the committee in addition to myself. And it is a final, it does come back to council. Councillor Ace, you're the chair of the nominating committee. We could take a surprise vote right now, depending. We need a member.
Oh, Tuesdays are very bad, very bad.
We need her very early.
We need to get this meeting over, so I mean, I don't know why we can't just deal with it at a different time.
Sure.
Because nobody seems to be stepping up and saying, I want to join.
Yeah.
Gary, you look like you.
What a shame.
Well, I know, but
Okay, move on then.
Okay, so what's next?
Motion from the audit committee.
Oh, motion to adopt, to,
Yeah, a recommendation to council to approve the consolidated financial statements for the year end March 31st.
I'll make that motion.
second,
Second.
discussion, all those in favor, opposed, motion's carried. Now, that it?
I think that is it.
Okay,
The only one we put off is 11.1, which we'll put on the next council.
And the phone.
And the end camera.
well, and yeah. Okay, motion to adjourn, people,
Yeah, I'm going to tell them second.
discussion, all those in favor.